cooperation to cities, because as an advisor, as a consultant, Andrew, you're not just reaching out and advising business owners, or sometimes, for that matter, billionaires, with the amazing project of Sensei in Kauai, but also cities. And you are seeing cities rethinking some of their parts, neighborhoods, to be places where people want to work, live, play. There's this movement of SDG cities that we are seeing getting stronger and stronger with the 2030 program from the United Nations with the 17 SDGs. What is your take on this? What are the few examples that you see that can make us think of that cities are also reinventing themselves, not just for cars and drivers, but for people and pedestrians?
Well, I think this is interesting, and it's perhaps become more relevant with the last year and a half of lockdown and rethinking how we work, how we live, and how we actually cope with our mental health. And I think, therefore, that rather than getting into the detail of cities and on what they should do, one of the biggest factors, one of the biggest things that will influence the design of cities of the future, putting aside technology, which is the obvious one, is the aspect of socialization. How do you get that village, rural community feel of a village where everybody supports and helps each other into a city where people don't even speak to each other, don't even, they sit on a train full of crowded people, but you don't talk to anybody or that. So I believe that if you look at cities and the composition of future cities, they're actually built along this concept of socialization, creating points of integration. Look at the value of the working office now, where we've got this situation where you actually have WeWork, and you mentioned Just earlier, and there's a concept in the UK where you have sort of the modern version of Starbucks now, but without the coffee. It's just a workplace environment where anybody can go and hang out. And in fact, we're going to see a lot of development of those things. So the social interaction is the big part of it. I also believe with the incoming of electric cars, you're going to see a complete change in the thought process of how we move around a city. And I think we'll have a lot more pedestrianization of these rural, sort of, I say rural, they're urban locations built on a rural platform. So that's how I see it integrating. And then, of course, the fun part of that is making it using the technology and the modern days construction techniques to make it extremely innovative. And we're seeing some examples of that in Asia, where you're kind of seeing vertical gardens, as they were. Now, vertical garden being a French term, I think was the original concept of it, was a kind of a wall with plants on it. Now you're seeing the entire building of the plants with people living in them. So it's quite an interesting way of doing it. I think Berlin, I always use an example of Berlin. It's getting a little bit aged now, but there's a community in Berlin where you see they've actually put the kind of communal vegetable plots down the middle of the street, where you now actually do your gardening in the middle of the street. And of course, that brings the community together. Simple things like that. I'm very fortunate in the village I live in here, could be almost a model for how to build villages of the future, in as much as it's an aging population, but people live at home. And why do they live at home? Well, they're all around the wellness clinic or the health clinic. They're in the town community, and they're kind of engaged and forced to mix and see what's going on, and encouraged to mix with each other. There's plenty of opportunities to do that.